First story. How do I 24 male convince my sister 31 female that I don't want to duck her fiancé 30 male? I know the title sounds strange. I'll try to be concise with all of the context. I 24 male have a sister 31 female. And due to the age gap, we were never close. We grew up in the United States. But after college, my sister moved to Europe. I haven't seen her much since she was 18 and I was 11. But because we weren't very close, we were fine with the occasional texting and every other year Christmas visits. Two very important pieces of context for this story. The first is that, even with the age gap, we look extremely alike. In the few times she's been home since I was older, 16 and 23 people have commented that we could be twins. The second is that I am 100% straight. I've only ever dated girls, and have never been interested or experimented with men in any way. I've been with the same girl since I was 21. Okay. So on to the main story. About a year ago, my sister met her fiancé, who I'll call Rob. I met Rob for the first time this Christmas. We quickly bonded over a shared hobby, RuneScape. LOL. We chatted a ton while he was here. And because it was Christmas, we were usually drinking. He seemed a little touchy, touching my arm, my back. Laughing a lot. A few oddly timed hugs. I thought nothing of it. Maybe that's just how Europeans are, I've never been. Anyway, they went back to Europe just after New Year's. And Rob and I have been casually chatting on WhatsApp, mostly about video games. Then one day, he stopped responding to my messages. A few days later, I asked my sister if he was okay. She said yes, but she needed to talk to me. We agreed to FaceTime the following night. To keep it short, here's what my sister told me. Rob found me extremely attractive. Apparently, because he's attracted to my sister. He also found me attractive, we look a lot alike. And is now questioning his sexuality. Like I was some sort of gay stepping stone. My sister said they are going to work things out. But she asked that I stay away from Rob. I figured I rarely see them, and this was all bizarre. So I agreed. She also asked me to promise I'd never duck Rob. Which is insane. Because not only am I straight, but the implication is that I'd duck my sister's fiancé unless I was told not to. I told her she was being ridiculous. And I'd never do that. We got into an argument because I wouldn't specifically agree not to duck him. I asked why he wasn't being held accountable. It should be his job to leave me alone. He's the one who wants to duck me. I'm not attracted to him at all. I was told I wouldn't be invited to her wedding. She hung up on me after I told her Rob would probably cheat on her with someone in Europe if she wasn't even sure he wouldn't duck her own brother. It's been about a week since this happened, and I don't know what to do. We haven't talked since. Neither me or my sister has told my parents. But it will definitely hit a boiling point when wedding invitations go out. What the duck do I do? Should I apologize and promise I won't duck Rob to smooth things over? Also, just to be clear, I find nothing wrong with being gay, bi, or anything else. None of this post is coming from a place of me being upset for being accused of not being straight or something like that. Edit. I'll be speaking to my parents about it tonight. Mostly because I am worried my sister may try to frame this situation differently. I'll be showing them this post, as well as the message Rob sent me since I posted here. We'll update in a few days. Update. The post got a lot more attention than I was expecting. So here's what has happened in the last 2 days. I grew increasingly angry at my sister over what felt like accusations on her end during our conversation. I saw some comments about getting ahead of this and talking to my parents as soon as possible, so that my sister couldn't get to them first and spin the story. Originally, I wasn't worried about this, but her behavior during our conversation was so erratic that I couldn't put it past her. I live only 20 minutes from my parents, so went to their house for dinner that night to have the talk. I asked them to refrain from asking questions until I had said everything. I covered the basics. Rob and I had chatted. He stopped responding. So I talked to my sister. She blew up. I told them all the details. Rob was into me. Sister said they were gonna work things out. I was asked not to duck him. And I got angry. I was very clear to my parents about why I was upset. That I was uninvited from the wedding. I know I'm not perfect. So I also told them what I said to my sister before she hung up. Which I do regret. When I finished what I had to say, my dad started laughing. Which he is known to do when he's uncomfortable. My mom was absolutely horrified. They both admitted that they had noticed he was touchy-feely with me over Christmas. We talked for a while about the questions they had. Had Rob said anything to me before the phone call? No. Had I known Rob was gay by questioning? No. We had a whole discussion about why I wouldn't make the promise to her. And to my surprise, they were completely on my side. Now, here is where the crap hit the fan. As I mentioned in my last post, Rob had messaged me. He had said he was so sorry for causing all of this. For ruining my relationship with my sister. Etc. He said that he was confused. But he does love my sister. And wants to move past this. I responded much later that night. Right before going to my parents by saying that things may not recover from this. And he should have either broken up with my sister to figure himself out. Or kept this to himself. My parents were beyond upset to hear about this. And that I wouldn't be going to the wedding. Even though I asked them not to. They called my sister immediately after I left their house. They wanted to know if she was okay. Why she was so accusatory with me. And what was happening in regards to the wedding. Well, folks, it was a crap show. According to my dad. She started freaking out. Yelling. Sobbing. And accusing them of taking my side. My dad tried to explain that there are no sides here. They just wanted to remedy the situation. Their call lasted less than 5 minutes. With my sister going on a tirade about how this is her life, and she won't let us ruin it. She claimed she saw my response to Rob. And that we were all trying to break them up. She then uninvited my parents who were paying for the whole thing from the wedding and blocked them on everything. We are all worried that she's having a legitimate mental breakdown. We have no way to contact her. And we have no family anywhere in Europe to help out. We have no idea how to help her. At this point, we are quite sure the wedding won't happen. As my parents certainly won't pay for it after all of this. We are worried she may hurt herself. But we know Rob is a good-natured guy and will hopefully take care of her. I'm at a total loss. My sister and I were never close. But I never imagined her relationship with everyone in our family would completely implode within 72 hours. Honestly. Looking for advice on where to go from here. Rob hasn't blocked me on WhatsApp. But I am unsure if reaching out to him is a good idea. Second update. Well, it's been a year since my posts, so I figured it was time to give a quick update since this account still gets messages asking about it. This will be the final update. As a very quick recap, my sister's fiancé, Rob, had a crush on me. My sister, for some reason, blamed me for that and had a breakdown. When we last left off, my sister blew up at me and my parents. And no one had a way to contact her because we all live in the United States and they were in Europe. About a week after that, my sister called my parents and begged them to pay for the wedding. She said that they would be welcome to come. But that I was still not invited. My parents did not accept this, as they felt the situation wasn't properly resolved. Cue another total sobbing breakdown from my sister. We were all worried about her mental health, and so I went against my better judgment and called Rob to talk to him. He had basically told me that my sister was going back and forth between trying to kick Rob out, he owns the house they live in, by the way, and trying to convince him to get married. At one point, she claimed to be pregnant and threatened Rob with an abortion. As far as he was concerned, their relationship was over, and he was trying to convince my sister to return to the United States. This caused an additional breakdown with my sister because she was convinced she had ruined her relationship with her family and we'd never take her back. Eventually, she moved out of Rob's house and in with a friend of hers. This is where we stopped hearing from Rob altogether. She lived with her friend briefly, but didn't have a job. She was mainly supported by Rob, and her savings didn't last long. She finally called my mom in early March, intensely apologetic, and asked if she could come home. My parents paid for a plane ticket home, and she basically arrived like 2 days before the world shut down. She's been speaking to a therapist via Zoom for about 9 months now, but she's still very depressed. I don't talk to her very much and am not sure if I will ever forgive her for her initial reaction to the situation. We are cordial when we get together as a family, we have a small bubble. But I won't ever look at her the same way ever again. Regardless of her mental health. She decided to go nuclear on me for something that her fiancé did wrong. Imagine how bad this could have been if they got married. Or if she was actually pregnant. Or if OP did it with Rob. I don't think anyone is really at fault here. If Rob did say that he is a ducking idiot though. I mean, instead of Rob basically saying hey your brother is ducking hot, he could have said hey I think I like men, I might be gay bi or something like that. Actually just thought of this, but he might have actually said something like that to her, but she connected the dots and realized it was OP and decided to blame him. She shouldn't have outed Rob to the brother and shouldn't have blown up at OP and tried to take it all out on him. Bad idea to go to the parents and tell them. I understand why OP did it, but I don't know, sister may not have talked to them about it. The thing is though, this was definitely an extremely stressful situation for everyone involved, especially her. Imagine you are about to marry someone you love and plan to spend the rest of your life together, then they get a crush on your sibling and might not actually be attracted to you, and all of this is happening while you are in a different country away from any family. I think it could be okay as long as gets help for anger issues. And she sincerely apologizes to OP. Yeah, at first it feels like it wasn't handled correctly by Rob, but honestly we don't know enough, and from what we know he was in a hard position needing to tell his fiancé about him questioning. The rest seems to just be her sister breaking because she couldn't handle it. It was a bad one, but it's not uncommon for late bloomer LGBT stories. Second story. My little sister's 18 female best friend 18 female came onto me 20 male during a sleepover, and we had sex. She wants to date me now. My little sister has been friends with her best friend for roughly 7 years. Her friend used to dislike me. But as we got older, I think she had a crush on me. To be precise, I am about 1.5 years older than her. She's turns 19 in a few months and I barely turned 20 last month. As we got older, her friends started getting close with me and we became friends ourselves. She's cute, nice, and a good person overall. I like her. But I kind of feel like she may be a little too young for me. She and my sister hang out a lot at our place mostly, and she stays over very often. The funny thing is that all 3 of us go to the same university, so I do see her friend around a lot. Well, her best friend had been flirting with me for a while, and my sister even told me it seemed like she was into me. Anyways, she came over the other night to stay the night. She and my sister hung out and she asked me to hang out with them. We had a pretty good time, and she was supposed to take my bed, and I would take the couch. She called me to help her fix the TV, and she ended up trying to seduce me and get me in bed with her. I was pretty hesitant considering her age and friendship with my sister. But she got touchy with me and I went in and gave her what she wanted. We had some good sex and even fell asleep together for a while until I had to leave before everyone woke up. After that she texted me and wanted to talk. She said she had feelings for me and that she liked me. And she also asked if we could give it a chance because she thinks we could be something together. She told me she wanted something serious, and that she felt bad when she would see me hang out with other girls, and that she wants it to be just her. I like her and all, it's just I don't want to be judged for the age, because she's a bit young. The other thing is that I want to discuss this with my sister. So what do you guys think of the age gap, and about talking with my sister? Too long didn't read. I had sex with my little sister's best friend. She confessed that she felt something for me, and that she wants me to be her boyfriend. Dude. You are just 1.5 years older than her. The fact that you are making such a big deal of this nonsense actually makes me think you are quite immature for your age. If you don't want to be in a relationship with her, it's fine. But own it. Don't make a crap excuse like this. Exactly. The age difference is crap. You are both adults. If you are freaked out because she is your little sister's best friend, make that the basis of your objections. The age difference means nothing. I actually do like her, and would like to date her. But people here are kind of a-holes about age gaps, even some like mine. Tell her you don't want to date her because you care so much what everybody else thinks. Let her know there are people with emotional maturity that would date her in a heartbeat. Next. Go figure out whether or not you die when others frown upon you. Learn to survive it, and maybe after 5 years see if she would consider dating you. Third story. Understanding and dealing with my 20 male feelings of possessiveness for my best friend 19 female. My best friend is a girl, who I'll call Carly, who I met just over a year ago. About 16 months now. We get along tremendously, and have always been strictly platonic, and are very open about the platonic nature of our friendship. It's clear that Carly is not interested in me, which is totally fine. Although, in full honesty, I do find them to be attractive. I've never made a pass at them, nor have they at me. Over most of the time we've known each other, we've just been casual good friends. We got along from the first day we met just before the pandemic kicked off here in North America, and kept up very regularly in a small group chat throughout the year. About 3 months ago we started talking more often via video call. And over the last month or so we have texted very frequently daily. We take all the same classes and regularly hang out one-on-one without our other friends. She has brought up the idea of platonic cuddling, and we are comfortable sharing beds and the like. We are planning to go on vacation together in a couple of months, and are planning to move into an apartment together in the fall. Both of us are single. We share almost everything with each other, and both rely on the other for a lot of our problems, including matters of mental health. Carly has a few health issues that have become the root of insecurities or mental illnesses, all of which she's opened up about to me. I am incredibly happy to have someone who's comfortable sharing that kind of thing with me. And similarly, I am glad to have someone I feel I can open up to emotionally when I need to. I've always struggled to make friends. If you look through my post history, you'll see in our /depression post I made a few years back discussing this. So this friendship is very special. I can't say I've ever had a best friend like this before. Yami. I think internally I am fairly protective of Carly, although I don't let it out much. I do truly want the best for her and for our friendship. She's a fairly free-wheeling person, much more so than I. So I understand that the best thing I can do for her is to not hold her down or limit her opportunities. I accept that fully. With this in mind, it must also be said that I am kind of emotionally inexperienced in some ways. Like I said, I haven't ever really had a super close friendship like this, let alone with someone of the opposite sex. Nor have I ever been in a romantic or sexual relationship with anyone. As such, intimate physical touch is something very unfamiliar for me. Although it sounds nice, I've often felt that this was my love language. But I've never actually been physically intimate with anyone. And although I have very little points of reference for either, I feel that I can distinguish platonic love from romantic love, and I do love Carly a lot. But when the idea of physical intimacy gets folded into this, I think maybe it starts becoming difficult for me to separate the two. All of this is contributing to my confusion, which I'll get to in a moment. Since we started texting very often, I've grown much more fond of Carly. My face lights up when I get a text from them. I often yearn to hang out with them. I worry when I haven't heard from them in a few hours, etc. I've mostly chalked this up to finally having a best friend, which is definitely something to be excited about. Although other situations make me question this truth. For example, a couple months ago, she started flirting with one of our mutual friends who she thought was good looking. These interactions always bothered me, but I rationalized it as me not wanting in group dating, which is a valid concern. I think maybe it's more than that. A couple days ago we were having a video call to discuss plans for our upcoming trip. Carly was pretty hungover at the time, and I knew that she'd been at one of her other close friends' 19 female house the night before and that they'd been drinking. Carly casually brought up that she'd ended up having a thing in 3 with that friend and her boyfriend 19 male, both of whom I've met before. This comment made me positively nauseous. I went along with the story because, I don't know, that's what friends do, I guess. She even asked if it was TMI and I told her it was fine and allowed her to keep going. The entire story made me sick to my stomach. I couldn't eat for the rest of the day. Even now, 2 days later, it's kind of making my stomach turn. I ended up confessing to her a few hours later that the story had made me uncomfortable. I made it very clear that it wasn't her fault, seeing as I'd given her the green light on the topic. The discussion went over well. Carly and I don't really talk about X much most of the time, although usually I have no problem talking to her about her relationships. I can't say I've ever been super comfortable talking about relationships or X, seeing as I have next to no experience with either. But I've never had a reaction like this to one of our conversations. The only thing I can compare it to is the feeling I had in the pit of my stomach when I was talking to this girl a few months ago who'd been making passes at me and I at her. I'd never been in a situation like that, and the entire thing made me incredibly anxious. I barely ate for days. Didn't work out in the end. Probably for the better. So between these two situations, her hitting on one of our mutual friends and the 3 people rapport story, I've become kind of confused about my feelings. Getting nauseous over your friend's ex stories doesn't seem like a normal platonic reaction, I guess. But then again, it's hard for me to say, because I've never been in a serious friendship or opposite ex friendship like this before. Nor have I ever been sexually or romantically involved with anyone. I don't have a strong frame of reference for my feelings. Sometimes I think our friendship is akin to that of siblings. I am an only child, so it's hard to say. If there are any older brothers reading this, do you think hearing your younger sister's ex rapport with 3 people stories would make you upset or nauseous like this? Maybe it's different because I am coming from a place of zero sexual experience. So stories of wild 3 people ex, especially when that close to home, are kind of difficult to listen to. I had never even considered the possibility of a romantic relationship with Carly until very recently, around the time they brought up cuddling. I think I don't approach any relationships with women with romantic intent. Usually I become attracted to them over time, or as a direct result of them putting moves on me. I have no problem holding platonic friendships with women, and have several other platonic female friends, although none as close as Carly. The whole thing has kind of made me question the truth of my feelings towards Carly. I know they're not interested in me, and ultimately I think I want to keep this platonic as well. My end goals are that I can share an apartment and travel with her comfortably, and to allow her to be open about her sexual and romantic relationships without it upsetting to me. Disconnecting, going no contact, isn't an option. I've thought about maybe expanding my own horizons and finding a significant other for myself who can I also be open with, which isn't a super easy solution. I've also thought about trying to deepen my emotional connections with some of my male friends, but that's difficult because a lot of guys are quite emotionally stunted just like me, and have trouble opening up. So how do I deal with these feelings of possessiveness? unrequited physical attraction, and just general discomfort at the thought of Carly with other people. Too long didn't read. I am best friends with a girl who I want to stay platonic with. But discussions of her ex-life and relationships make me upset, turn my mood sour, or even make me nauseous. How do I deal with these feelings of possessiveness without jeopardizing our friendship? You're not platonic. You're a friend to her. She's a girlfriend sans ex to you. There you go, buddy. Do you think there's a good course of action for me to sort that out? How do I detach myself? Step 1. Admit you want more. Step 2. Tell her you want more. Step 3. If she will entertain the idea of more, pursue the more. Step 4. If she does not want more, take a break and actively pursue the more with other people. Step 4a. Tell that whiny voice saying, "Oh, but she's important to me," that it's just whining because it's comfortable in a messed up S-less relationship substitute and is happier living in the friend zone than putting itself out there in search of an actually fulfilling romantic relationship. Well, I know she isn't interested in me like that. So don't you think I could just skip the whole confrontation steps 1-3 and just try dating instead? Date instead. Get away from her. Give your boyfriend this to someone who will reciprocate. Stop giving your boyfriend this to someone who is just enjoying it without payment. And here, I don't mean ex. I mean that someone should not be enjoying the benefits of having a significant other in a one-sided way. If you give someone yourself as a boyfriend, they don't get to keep that without reciprocating. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.